Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Council on Foreign Relations. My name is Ayman Mohideen. I'm the host of the weekend primetime on MSNBC. I have the distinct privilege and honor of moderating this conversation with His Excellency Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Thani, someone who I've gotten to know well over the last couple of years. We're very lucky and very fortunate to have managed to squeeze in hopefully an hour of his very busy schedule, one of the busiest people, I think, currently on the world stage. Your Excellency, it's great to have you here. We really appreciate it. This is an on-the-record conversation. I'm going to moderate the first part of it with a few questions, and then I'll open it up to the floor and some of our virtual members for questions in the second half. So really, really appreciate you making time for us. I wanted to start, and I know we're going to talk about Qatar's role regionally and the mediation efforts, but I thought maybe I can start with the past 24 hours. We're seeing what is being described as a tenuous ceasefire being challenged. And maybe if you can just give us a read of what has happened in the 24 hours. Do you believe the ceasefire is still holding right now? What have you heard from your counterparts as to their commitments in making sure this ceasefire holds?
Well, first of all, thank you, Ayman, for having me, and I would like to thank the Council for having me and giving me this opportunity here today. In the past 24 hours, I believe that everyone was watching the challenges that we were facing in Gaza and the violations that happened to the ceasefire. Maybe because it's been like something like a significant event that took place yesterday that brought up to the media into that level, but this is like something that expected throughout the ceasefire, and this experience we had at the same time also in the previous ceasefires. We've been engaging in a very intensive way with both parties in order to ensure that the ceasefire holds, and the U.S. engagement, of course, was key in that. And I believe that what happened yesterday was a violation, and then what we were expecting that this violation also will be there will be a response for us. But you know, fortunately, I think like the main parties are, both of them are acknowledging that the ceasefire should hold and they should stick to the agreement.
You're using the word violation. Can you tell us who do you believe violated the ceasefire?
Well, look, if we will start to describe the violations, it will be an open-ended questions. But what happened yesterday, the attack on the Israeli soldiers, that's basically a violation by the Palestinian party. Now, Hamas has put a statement that they are not like in communication with this group. We don't know yet. We didn't have any verification if this is true or not. We remained focused on making sure that the ceasefire itself holds. And also there were like we heard some discussions about that Hamas are trying to delay the bodies. And we made it very clear for them that this is part of the commitment that we needed to be fulfilled. Now, look, Ayman, from our perspective, since the start of this, since October 7th until today, if you look throughout the process, we went through a lot of challenges, a lot of obstacles, and it wasn't an easy road. It was a very bumpy road. And basically, we tried our best to navigate and to make sure that, you know, we achieved the first ceasefire, the second one, and now the ceasefire that hopefully will last. And throughout this process and throughout all the ceasefires that we had a lot of violations that's been taking place. Maybe many of them not being reported in the media because they were not as significant as the one that happened yesterday. But yesterday event was honestly something that very disappointing and frustrating for us to see that it's happening. And we were trying to contain it, and we mobilized right away after this and in full coordination with the United States. And we have seen that the U.S. also is committed to the deal.
So the ceasefire still holds, yes, as of now. I think there's been a sense that the first phase of the ceasefire was always going to be the easiest one because it was a very kind of clear terms of what was expected by each side. The second and potentially ultimate phase of the ceasefire was the one that people are really concerned about. Do you believe that both sides have a clear understanding of what happens next? Because there's a question as to whether or not the Israelis expect Hamas to disarm and then ultimately no longer be involved in any governing structure of Gaza. And yet Hamas officials continue to say they will be part of a post-war governing structure and have no intention of releasing or giving up their arms unless the Palestinian people tell them to do so.
Well, look, this is a very it's a very complex war, and it's a very complex solution for it. So, for us, the approach that we took from our side, since October 7th, we had two priorities. One is to bring the hostages back and to end the war and the suffering of the people of Gaza. And if you look throughout the last 2 years, we were the main stable player and factor in that formula, trying to mediate to bring this to the finish line. And I believe what we have achieved in Sharm el-Sheikh, bringing this conflict to the finish line. And our job today is to protect it and to safeguard it and to make sure that it holds, and then also make sure that it's implemented. It will be a complicated process. It will not be an easy process to go through the disarmament and the decommissioning, but it's part of the agreement. Now, I don't see that the governance will be a challenge, because this is something that we've been very clear with Hamas, and Hamas response was very clear to us that they are willing to give up the governance. The weapon question, from their perspective, this is an obligation on all the factions, not on Hamas only. And basically, we are trying to push them all in order to get to a point where they acknowledge that they need to disarm and they need to move on to the next stage. And we need to make sure that the Palestinians are safe and the Israelis are safe. I think that's the whole purpose of the decommissioning and disarmament, and creating a political horizon for the Palestinian people, and creating the Palestinian agency that will be able to be the sole holder of arms.
Do you see right now, I mean, I'm not sure if you had the chance to see, but in a recent 60 Minutes interview, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner both suggested that there was a development plan that has been in the works for 2 years. Some have said it kind of models the Berlin style, where the Israelis will control one part of Gaza and whoever's on the other side will control the other. And the concern is that it will split Gaza, Israel retain a certain control. Do you believe that there will be at some point, if the decommissioning and the ceasefire holds, a full Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip?
Well, this is actually, when you look at President Trump's plan, the 20 points, it has, the major themes are ending the war, no occupation, and no annexation. These are like three key principles that's been highlighted in the proposal. Now, the first redeployment to implement the first stage of this deal allows the Israelis to stay in Gaza within these lines, but ultimately they need to also to withdraw once also the international stabilization forces come into place, and then the process of decommissioning starts. Then the Israelis should withdraw from Gaza. But we need to go also to address the issue of and the root cause itself. We need to create the political horizon and the political environment, the right environment for the Palestinians and for the Israelis in order to reach an understanding and an agreement for coexistence. That's what we are looking for. We are looking for a two-state solution that will put an end for the suffering for both sides.
And do you think that is still attainable given the political makeup of the current Israeli government, which is talking about annexation and saying resettling Gaza?
It will always be attainable because, look, I mean, whatever the rhetoric that you are hearing now from the politician, at the end of the day, I believe there are enough, wise people who understand that you cannot have, you cannot have two people treated differently under one state. And the Palestinians to have their own state, this is their right. And Arab Peace Initiative has actually laid a plan for Israel to normalize with the region in exchange of the statehood for the Palestinians and providing Israel with the guarantees. Now, we understand that after October 7th, there are a lot of complications and a lot of trauma that happened within the Israeli community that made maybe two-state solution unattainable at this stage. But the moment will come where we will have, we'll bring, all the parties together, and everyone will recognize that that's the only way forward. And I believe right now with the U.S. engagement, and we have seen how the president, the vice president, the special envoy Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, all of them, they are heavily engaged, and the Secretary of State heavily engaged in making sure that the ceasefire holds and making sure that we are crossing the line to the next stage, which is hopefully rebuilding, rebuilding the trust, and then rebuilding Gaza, and then also creating a political horizon for the Palestinian people.
Let's go back to the morning when Doha was attacked. And I wonder if you can talk to me, just reflect on that specific moment, how much of a game changer you felt in the dynamics of the region when Israel carried out a strike in Doha, and what that meant for the state of Qatar, how Qatar